Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today I have for you my Inspire Me Monday. I do these once a month for Power Poppy. So this image is the Power Poppy's Heart of Bloom. It's a digital image, so you purchase it and you print it on your computer. I have printed this on Fabriano Artistico 140 pound extra white hot press watercolor paper. I just have all of my tubes beside me. Those are not necessarily the colors I'm using, but they're all there. So I blew this image up. I didn't want the heart shape, so I twisted it a bit. I do this a lot with the Power Poppy images. If you've been following me for any amount of time or have been seeing what I do with their digital stamps, I always blow Marcella's images up and enlarge them and crop them and cut them and do a whole bunch of stuff with them, and she doesn't mind that I do that, so it makes me really happy. So I've started off here with, I'm going to start with a bunch of the greenery, and I am using, I do believe this is New Gamboge and Sap Green, both from Daniel Smith. All the colors I pulled out for this one are from Daniel Smith. Ignore the band-aid on my finger. I cut my finger pretty bad at work a while ago, and I'm still keeping a band-aid on it while it heals, simply because, yeah, I won't even get into explaining it. So I'm just dropping in the yellow and the green into that wet paint, or into that wet paper. So what I did was I let the water soak in just a hair, and that way when I drop these colors in, they're expanding and blending and doing their own thing. Now I do have this video sped up to 5 times its original speed, so I am appearing to paint it a heck of a lot faster than I actually do in real life, because I'm definitely not that fast. I had about 1 hour and 14 minutes of footage for this card, so that gives you a rough idea as to how long it took me to paint it up. So I do let the different areas partially dry, as you're seeing here. I left it sit for a little bit so the color can kind of settle out, but not completely dry, and then I go in and drop in a little bit more color just to give me a little more depth and differentiations between the different tones of greens that I'm creating with that sap green and that New Gamboge color. My shadows that I'm adding in here, so I'm adding drop shadows, so basically where the one leaf is in front of the other, it would create a natural cast shadow, etc., etc., all the way through those areas. And I am doing that with the hematite. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Genuine. It is one of their Primatech colors. I do really like it because it granulates so much, which gives me a lot of texture in those shadows without me having to put in a lot of work. And what's not better than not having to work hard for the look you want? I should have had my board a little lower here so you guys could see what I was doing up at the top. I'm just filling in that greenery and behind those blueberries and around this little bud down here at the bottom. It does take quite a bit of time. If you're going to do something like this, definitely don't try and race through it. Like I said, it took just over 1 hour to paint up just this section of the image. And if you actually go look at the entire image and purchase it, I will have a link in the description box below to it over on the Power Poppy website, but it's a very large stamp. There is a ton of flowers and greenery and berries and the banner and all this stuff to paint and color and have fun with and crop and move, and it's a fantastic stamp. I love all the Power Poppy images, though. Marcella knows that, and like I said, if you've been following me for any time, you know that too. So now I've just wet up this banner, and I'm going in and dropping in a bunch of, this is buff titanium, so it's kind of like a creamy-ish type color. It worked really well for this banner, just to make it look a little bit old and weathered. I'm speaking really fast. Slow down. Breathe, Jessie. Just breathe. And then I do mix in some of that hematite genuine into the buff titanium to create a little bit of shadows. Again, where that's the ice machine in my fridge dropping, if the mic picked that up. To create those shadows on that buff titanium, and I'm doing that while it is still wet. So I have mixed together, I do believe it is quinacridone purple and phthalo blue to create the purpley blue color that I use on my berries here. So I just kind of mix some of that together till I got the color I wanted, and then I'm dropping it in slowly. And as I'm dropping it in, I am using heavier pigmentation as I'm dropping it in, just to get those transitions from lights to darks and them to blend together very naturally. I do go through and add a little bit of buff titanium into like that little frilly piece that hangs off the bottom of the berries. I don't know the technical name for it. It's like a skirt on the bottom of them. If that makes any sense. I'm not sure how to explain it. Oh, that was a bad way to explain that. Come on now, Jessie. Get your head in the game. And then with that genuine color again to put in those shadows. I like to keep my shadow color consistent through the entire image. So I'm now battling the sun rays, you can see peeking in through the top there, dropping a little bit of yellow in. Now we're going to start working on the flowers. This is the funnest part. I love painting flowers. I think it's one of my most favorite things to do. I have quinacridone coral, and I'm actually not going to mix anything. I really like to mix colors together and layer colors over top of each other. I really enjoy glazing watercolors over top of each other when I make my cards. But I decided to glaze the same color over and just use colors straight from the tube for the most part, aside from our greens and our blueberry color here. So I'm going to go in and just put in my first wash of color with this, and then we will come back to these later and add some more detail and get some more depth, still using that same quinacridone coral color, which is probably one of my favorite tubes of paint. I love this color. I almost want to get a color match to paint my bathroom that color because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So we're just slowly working our way through these. You can see how I drop. I go in and I wet the area with clean water, and then I drop the color at the heaviest pigment load at the bottom, or wherever I decide I want the darkest places to be, where there'd be a shadow, or where it pinches together, things like that, where I want the biggest concentration. And then I take clean water on my brush again and slowly pull that out. So it moves on its own, but I do help it along the way. Now we're moving on to our two of our other flowers, and we're going to paint these with Prussian blue. No, phthalo blue. Not Prussian blue. That is definitely a phthalo blue. I had a blonde moment. I'm not blonde. Should be. Okay, bad joke. Please don't get offended. I'm sorry. Yeah. Don't get mad at me. I think before I speak. No, I don't think before I speak. I speak before I think a lot of the time. Oh, so bad. My words are escaping me today. Here comes a cat. He's probably going to play with things and be a pain in the rump, which wouldn't surprise me or any of you if you've been listening to me for a while. So while I'm going through and working on all of these, I am doing different areas. The areas that I'm wetting to get ready to drop these colors into are not touching each other. I want to allow the colors to blend into that petal without worrying about the petals bleeding into each other, especially once I get past this first wash of color and start adding in more detail and darker colors and things of that nature. I really want our colors to not bleed into where I don't place them, and I want to try and stay as much in control of the watercolor as I possibly can. You can only control it so much. It is watercolor and it kind of has a mind of its own, but it's beautiful and worth figuring out and playing with. The brushes I'm using are silver black velvet brushes, so they are a synthetic and squirrel combination brush, so it has both natural and unnatural and synthetic hairs in it. I really enjoy them. I did order myself a couple of red sable brushes, so I'm excited for those to come in to see how I like those. I've never played with a real sable brush before, so it'll be like I'm gonna feel all fancy and professional, and then you're gonna hear me talk and be like, this girl's a fool. And be like, I know. And we'll carry on in our daily lives. So I will link up at the end of the video a couple of other painting videos I have of Power Poppy images. They are, like I said, I love painting flowers, and I fell in love with Marcella's images a long time ago, so I really enjoy painting them for her, and I know I don't get as many up as I would love to, or have time to get as many up as I would want to, but I'm really hoping to correct that and get you guys at least 2 videos a month using Marcella's images, but we'll see how that goes, because I've made promises before that I don't keep. I tend to fail regularly on that, but goals, right? Gotta try. So you can see how I'm going in, and as I'm adding those darker colors, I'm creating its own shadows and giving the petal that I'm currently working on kind of a wave to it, so it's got that look of the fold or the ripple in the petal, and then I'm putting in those cast shadows where those other petals lay on top of it on the next one here that I'm working on, and just letting those colors pull out into the main area, keeping a really, really stark, nice light bright area on all of these florals. I could do this again and again and again. I could paint this, like I could paint flowers all day, every day, and life would be happy. I would be perfectly content if I could just paint flowers all the time and people wouldn't get bored of it, but I'm sure you guys would get sick of me watercoloring flowers all the time. So again, on that flower, you can see how I'm just following the artist drawn lines, and where she has ripples, I'm just allowing the paints to come out and create those shadows of what Marcella's shown with her line art, of how the petal is flowing or falling or sitting, etc., whatever word you would like to use. So, and I'm not picking up a lot of pigment at a time simply because the area isn't very, very big, and I don't want to end up with more pigment than I can handle. Phthalos tend to stain the paper and they don't lift very well, so I don't want to have that problem and be battling like a real dark blue petal when I want them nice and light and airy feeling. So I just dropped in that first coat of quinacridone coral on that little bud flower, and now I'm going to start working on this. I don't know, is it a daffodil? I don't know anything about flowers, you guys. I don't know the names of flowers. I know that I'm growing an orchid and it hasn't died yet, so that's impressive. That's about all I know about flowers. Oh, I love painting them. I just don't know what they are. So, just using, I think it's Hansa Yellow Light is the color I used. So I'm just giving it, again, that initial wash. I missed that piece of greenery there and this big leaf here. So I'm just going to work on those while I let the others dry a little bit more. Adding in some more green. Now I'm going to darken up those shadows in yellow on this little guy. I think it's a daffodil. I sure hope. I'm going to call it a daffodil. If I'm wrong, you guys will correct me in the comments. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm alright with that. So we're just adding in a little bit more of that color and allowing that one to brighten up so that it gets about as vivid as the rest. I don't want the yellow to overpower the image, but I don't want it to read as though I didn't put enough color into it. So adding some more sap green into our greenery that I missed at the start here. I'm pulling it out with some clean water. I do have 2 jugs of water with me. Beside my image, I have one that's like a dirty jug and then a clean jug, so I rinse my brush off in that filthy water, and then when I bring water into our image, I'm always pulling water from the clean bucket so that I don't end up like that water is gross when I'm done. It's like shades of black and blue, and it settles in the bottom because of the genuine color I used and all that kind of stuff, and you don't want to put that on your thing. I recommend always having 2 containers of clean water. I use sour cream containers. I also have a couple ceramic ones that I bought at the dollar store. So we're doing the same thing with these flowers that I did with the blue ones, and I'm just going in and dropping in some really dark color and blending that out just to give it a little bit more definition and make the flower pop. I really love this process. I even enjoy watching myself do it again. So that's always a bonus, right? Because usually I'm like, I did this once and then I edited it and now I'm watching it again so I can voice it over. And you get to the point where like you've watched your video 5 or 6 times before you guys ever get a chance to see it. So by the time I show it to you, I'm kind of sick of it. So I'm happy when you guys really like it because I'm totally over it. So when I tape, I like to tape my paper down to my board. That's so that it helps minimize the amount of warping. It also holds it in place so I don't make a mess. Keeps me from getting water and stuff running all over and it getting like a big bow where it bend in the paper so I can't paint on it anymore. And I do tape it just outside of the black frame that I put on. So that black frame is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it is the full size of an A2. It's the size of an A2 card base, so that when I'm finished I can cut the image down to 4 by 5 1/4, which allows it to lay just slightly inside of the card base and you get that pretty white frame around it. I really enjoy that look. I tend to do it with most of my cards. Sometimes when you see photos, I haven't actually even put the card front on a card base. I tend to do that once in a while because I like to be difficult. But I pulled out some quinacridone gold here, one of my favorite colors, and I'm going to use that to add the rest of the shadows into this yellow flower. I just felt that I wasn't getting enough contrast, and if I wash this color out a lot, it still reads quite yellow, so that's awesome. It's not too orange and it doesn't read too gold or too brown. So I used that just to finish defining that daffodil there, and then I'm going to use it on the centers of the rest of our flowers and just drop it in around the flowers on all those little, I don't know what they're called, the thingies that have pollen on them. Oh, I don't know. Stamens? Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. I think I found the name. Go me! So we're going to drop those on. And then I'm going to fill in the background here with a little bit of moon glow. I thought the white was just a little bit too stark, so I kept it really, really light so that it doesn't look too dark in between, but it's not the stark white that it was at the beginning. So we're just going to finish that up, and that'll be the end of this card. If you guys have any questions or anything, definitely leave me a comment down below. I may not get to reply to everybody's comments. I do work 45 hours a week outside of the home. This is my job. I do this because I like this. But I really, really love when you guys leave me comments, and if I don't get a chance to reply to them all or anything, just know that I read like every single one of them. I'm not even kidding you. I am always so completely floored when people take the time to leave me a comment, even if it's like, I really enjoyed this, or you suck, show me something else. I like it. I find it tons of fun. So I'm just going to peel this off here and show you guys the finished card front. I didn't trim it out at the end of this video, but I will have the trimmed out version over on my blog. The link to that will be in the description box below, as well as my Cards in Color Facebook page if you're not a member over there. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button. The bell notification if you guys actually want to see when I upload something. I don't know. I'd hope so, maybe one day. Give me a thumbs up if you guys enjoy watercolor videos, and I will see you guys very, very soon for the next one. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.